What is architecture?
Well, you start with the biggest question. Actually, it's a good one. We always discuss this in the office as well. It's very central question in our practice and actually part of our design method as well. Architecture for me is maybe a constant negotiation about conditions, about spatial conditions, about how we use space, about how to organize or structure space, but in the end also about how we live. And in that sense, maybe it's more the negotiation of the human condition in itself, how we want to inhabit this planet and organize it with the things we build. So I think this question is more or less the driver behind everything we do, and yeah, it's actually the difficulty to start with this and not go into personal ideas or personal design methods, because it's this super general thing. So what it sums up for me personally is maybe a quote. The Swiss artist Du Fischli-Weiss once said that the most beautiful balance is in the glimpse before something collapses. And I guess that's a bit the beauty of architecture for me, to prolong the state, to work on something that is always changing, but at the same time architecture is meant to be permanent.
What can architecture do?
Well, architecture can do anything, is what I want to believe as an architect. It is, of course, in its very nature restricted to partition things. To have no wall is always more open to have no wall. Okay, I start. To have no wall is always more open than to have a wall. So architecture is about partitioning and structuring space or places or functions or things. And I think in that sense, architecture is somehow limited to organizational tasks, but it also has a lot of inherent values. The way we structure things can in themselves somehow liberate places or liberate new ideas or new ways to use the space. So yes, I very much like to keep the deliberately naive approach. I think architecture can do anything, because if we don't believe in that, we limit ourselves to the service of built for defined functions.
What is your architectural position?
The position is actually closely related to what I said in the beginning about what I think architecture is. We really want to architecture not be the answer. We always, in our practice, we always discuss what are the inherent questions in a program, or the inherent questions in a task we're confronted to work on. We love to, of course, we love to think that we're able to give answers, but as I said before, I truly believe in this in this clash actually between architecture being meant to be permanent and the world around us is always changing, with or without us. So we really love this kind of clash, and to think about to build something permanent that somehow has a strength in itself but can adapt to a world that is always changing. So our position basically is to kind of liberate the way things are built down to a very one-to-one scale, the way things are built from today, kind of, because I guess it's one of the biggest roadblocks in this whole sustainability discussion that is super important for us at the moment, that we always think about how we use spaces, how we live from today's perspective. And if we in any sense want to reach any of those goals, we have to liberate ourselves and architecture, and maybe really in the most honest meaning of the word, think about architecture as a project, really project things into the future and try to imagine things be propositional again, and not fulfill tasks that we ask to do.
What is your design method?
The design method is, in that sense, rather simple. We discuss exactly these kind of questions all the time. We're a very discourse-based office. We try to figure out these positions again and again, and try to also negotiate with specialists in the team, with clients, with each other in the office to debate and to figure out what could be the small things the small thing in one project that can actually change a bit the perception of space and the perception of what architecture is, because yeah, by that it's not about classical analytical drawings or classical research about context or about the place we work on. It's more about understanding the condition in which we work, and by that the design method is very much based on discussion and talk and understanding everyone involved in the process and trying to figure out what it actually means, what we do. So depending on the project, like the politician can be as important as in another project, the tinsmith that helps us realize small things that we love to do.
And what is the future of architecture?
Well, that's a surprise question. The future of architecture, I wouldn't dare to answer the question in these absolute terms, but what I can answer what I wish the future of architecture to be, and I think it's exactly what I tried to address before, to be a more open, more actually more open-minded or more liberated discipline that can propose things that can not only answer raised question, but also raise question in itself, that can think beyond the borders of what we actually do today. I guess it's a very precarious situation we as architects are always in, because on one hand side we're always a service or a service provider, and on the other hand side it's completely connected to arts or culture. So we have to work with this tension or this friction between those two fields. So it's at the same time thinking visionary and economic. So I guess the future of architecture for me should be more about figuring out the role of architecture truly. It's what you try to do with the interview maybe, and what we try to do with actually work on project and ask those questions to ourselves. So architecture is maybe more unstable in future. That would be cool.